Hey, we're back. This is John.
Hey, it's Paul.
And there's no Eric. Eric's out of town. This is What If Geeks. So it's just me and Paul tonight. We're once again we're doing the OG crew.
That's right.
And Eric's out of town, but he was nice enough to help us set up the Zoom meeting so that we can do this episode because Paul and I are sometimes technologically illiterate. I think we could have figured out the Zoom chat.
We eventually would have figured it out.
I've set one up before, so
we would have recorded it on our cell phone, talking to each other or something.
Yeah, it would have been like back when we first started.
It's way better when Eric does it, though.
Yeah, it is. Thank God for Eric.
Right.
So we decided that we had a couple of things planned for this week, but we decided since Eric's not here, we wanted to hold off on him. We were going to do a character spotlight on Falcon and Winter Soldier because that's coming out Friday, and we had another fun episode that we wanted to drop about like what if we were in charge of what have you, and we all decided we were going to wait for Eric. So Paul and I said, it's been a long time since we did a Geekly Weekly, so we were going to kind of like run through a whole bunch of stuff that we're kind of excited for. That now that it's 2021 and the pandemic is
almost over. It's almost over.
Since March 2021 is much like March 2020, except I've got toilet paper.
Right. I'm not freaking out about how I'm going to wipe my ass.
So there's that. But there are actually movies coming out now because we've got streaming stuff and everything else that's going on. And if you notice, that's one of the questions I added in at the end. I don't know if we should just start off with that and then roll into what we expect. Or
start off with that.
Yeah. So we start off with a question, and it's a question for all you guys too, because there's something I heard on another podcast I listened to, and I really thought it was key for what we're talking about today. Is the big difference, like I said, from last year to now is a lot of studios have figured out we can stream movies along with releasing them into theaters because we need to make money.
Right.
So. And then there's also been a whole bunch of different changes with streaming options. So my question is, what streaming services have you subscribed to, especially since the pandemic started? And which is the best and which is the worst in your opinion? So I'll lay that question out on the table for us, but I also lay it out for the fans to comment, write in, do whatever, and let us know what you think.
So I'm trying to think of, did Disney Plus come out before the pandemic started? Just barely, right? It came out the very end of 2019?
Yeah, it was December 2019, right?
Yeah, I think that's right. So I don't know that I've added anything new since the pandemic, but I've definitely loved having Disney Plus. I dropped my DC universe. We have Netflix and Hulu and most of the others. I don't know that I'm going to get Paramount Plus. I don't think there's enough on it. I don't know that I'm going to get. I think the only other thing that we might think about is HBO Max, since everything is coming out. I guess all the Warner Brother movies are coming movie theaters and streaming same day.
Yeah, I agree. And I just remember Disney Plus did come out and sometime in the end of 2019, but I think it was even before December because it was it launched after Heather had her surgery because she and Noah were watching stuff on Disney Plus.
Right.
So I think maybe it was like November, something like that.
I think they've been probably, I don't know. There's a ton of stuff on all of them, but I think Disney Plus between The Mandalorian, Hamilton, sort of combined to get the U.S. at least through the pandemic, right? Like,
yeah, it did. Yeah, and there was a lot of cool stuff.
Netflix with Tiger King.
Yeah, that was the key. We'll get into some of the shows in a second. But going back to what you said with some of the services, like we've got, I think almost everything. We've got Amazon Prime.
Yeah,
we watched The Boys. Obviously Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu. We've got the package, the Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus.
Okay.
We've got Apple TV, and through Apple TV, we've got CBS All Access, which is now
Paramount.
Right. So we had that. And you're right. Outside of that was when I was watching The Stand, and that was a good series. But outside of that, I really haven't touched it. So, but it's there. So it's whatever. I don't know. We've got Peacock because of something. I forget what, but somehow we've got it because it was free. Oh, was it Peacock that bought out the WWE network?
Yeah,
I think we talked about it, right?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, so the WWE network is going to that, and Corey pays for the WWE network for us, so he's just going to take over that channel payment, and we're going to just keep the way we've been doing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's been cool. The streaming. I need to get a couple of like news channels added to like Apple TV or whatever, which I'm pretty sure I haven't looked into them yet. I'll have to do it this weekend, but I think they're all free. I have to log in and add them. But once that's done, I don't really touch like mainstream cable anymore.
Yeah. We don't have it, so it's been a while. We were somewhere recently and stayed in a hotel. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. This is what, it was just a couple nights ago. Some friends of ours got one of the Disney tree houses.
Mm-hmm.
You've been to one of those? Those are pretty cool.
Yeah. This weekend?
Yesterday, like 2 days ago.
Yeah, it was one of my neighbors went there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're staying out there, so we went out there. And so I was watching TV, and I was like, some commercials came on, and we've got the Hulu package that has commercials, so it's not like I'm unfamiliar with commercials, but it was all of the interruptions and all the stuff, and I was like, this is terrible.
Yeah. Regular mainstream TV, whatever you call it now, I don't even refer to it anymore. Cable sucks. Ironically, if you remember, a few weeks back, we had spoken about we were dropping Spectrum completely, and we were going to go to West Orange Wireless. Did I tell you what happened with that?
No.
Okay, so after I had a little bit of a hiccup and I had to reset like the whole modem and everything, the first night, everything was fine. The next day, the internet started getting a little spotty.
Really?
It was just horrendous. Like it wasn't enough speed. It wasn't enough anything. And we kind of knew that might be a case, with the way we run our house. But the drastic drop was like, oof. So then we looked at, okay, we have to hook the Spectrum one back up because now we were still paid through, for whatever, like through the end of this month.
Right.
So we're like, we're fine. We'll just hook that back up. So I hooked it back up, and because of the extra boosters that I bought to help out the West Orange one, now my signal goes like clear past the pool
right.
and like to the neighbor's house. It's like Heather said she was sitting out on the patio because the dog will go outside, but she has to have somebody outside with her. She's a needy little bitch.
Right.
She loves to be outside, but she like looks back for you, like, where are you? Where are you going? So Heather will sit out there with her coffee and her laptop, and she'll sit on the lanai and do whatever she's doing in there. And she's like, I had no problem. And she's like, this is the first time. So it's like, whatever you did with all the hookups this time, like, we've got a great signal. So,
yeah.
And it's cool. All right, whatever. So I was like, all right, we know we can't get rid of Spectrum. And where we're at, we have one or two options. They're looking at the neighborhoods, trying to get together and figure out if we can get the other guys to come in with the fiber optic for the rest of the neighborhood, because like the whole back of the neighborhood doesn't have it. Eric does, asshole. So we're looking into that just to see if we can get it run back here, and if we all got to chip in to pay for it or whatever. I think to run it is free, but then you just got to buy it.
Oh, right.
So we got to look into it if they can do that. But outside of that, our shit's great now. So Heather called to be like, well, we don't use the cable. I want to at least take that off the bill. And the girl was like, well, I'll be honest with you. Nothing is prorated now. So if you cancel, she's like, I can cancel it, but you've already paid for the month. So at the end of the month, the last day of the month, just call me again. And she's like, here's my name, ask for me, and I'll shut it off and you bring your stuff in. So she's like, there's no point in you shutting it off now when you've already paid for it.
Yeah.
So end of the month, we'll call back and we'll save like, $50, $60, whatever it is. So yeah, the internet's working great again. But on that note, we don't use cable anymore, and streaming seems to be the way to go. I'm wondering, and I know we've debated on this before, is someone eventually going to start to combine streaming packages? Because someone's going to get on that,
right?
Where you pay a discounted rate, or they make a deal or whatever, and you get, a good deal on a bunch of, and you're basically going to be back in the cable box again.
Right. Well, because I saw that there's Discovery Plus now is starting their own streaming service, and it's like Discovery.
Good. I haven't gotten it yet.
TLC, Food Network, a couple of those kind of channels. It's like $4.99 a month or something like that.
Yeah, and the ones that people I've heard talking about it like it a lot.
Yeah, and if you're into those channels, like I think that's what's going to start to happen. The companies that own, because I think they're all owned by the same corporation.
Sure.
Those channels. So I think those kind of channels are going to get together and like figure out how to do this.
I think so too. I'd agree. So yeah, all right. So now on to the second part of the question. Then, which have been the best and the worst? I know we talked about what got us through the pandemic, and we can get into some of the shows as we're talking about this now. I guess we'll start off like the old school Netflix. It's kind of like a staple.
Yep.
You can rely on it. So it's the format everybody's used to.
Yeah.
So it is definitely one of the best. Now some of their original content is hit or miss, but I've found a lot of shit on there that I like.
There's a lot of stuff. There's some study about when consumers are given a choice on things, there's a certain level at which there's so many choices, you end up with some sort of analysis paralysis. And I can't think of the name of the study. But if there's like 6 kinds of jelly, customers are cool. If there's 27 kinds of jelly, you stand in front of the jellies, you're like, I don't know what to do here. Right. I find myself getting on Netflix and I just search, and 30 minutes will go by. I haven't watched anything.
Yeah, my food's gotten cold by that point.
Yeah, and I'm into like, you're watching like action movies or something, and so you start scrolling, and all of a sudden you're into these action movies that were made in like Turkey or something, and dubbed or have the things on them. Like, am I about to watch a Turkish action show? Is it really that's what we're about to do?
Yeah, or you wind up like here. Why I wish Eric was here, because he comments on what he told us. There's a lot of times he'll be up really late and everybody else is in bed, and he just turns on Netflix and he's down the rabbit hole to where he found a few movies that we need to review because they're so horrible. So yeah, you find, and I found little hidden gems here and there, because me, like I love my zombie movies. I found a handful of zombie movies on there that were decent. They weren't great, but they were decent. Yeah. But then others were just like, I gotta shut this off.
They actually added that play something button, because I think that's what they were figuring out, as people were saying there's too much on here. Like I never know what to watch.
Yeah.
And there's some sort of, I want to watch the right thing and I don't want to miss something. So they just put in that, like, just play me something. Like I can't pick, just play.
It just goes over what you've watched and picks you something. Yeah, so I like Netflix. Then obviously the next big one would be Disney Plus. Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime's got a lot of cool shit on there too. We love The Boys. There's been a couple other things on there that we've watched, and that'll always be like our second go-to after, if we're done catching up on whatever we're watching on Disney Plus, we might search Netflix for a few minutes, and then we'll jump over to Amazon, search through their movies and stuff. So that's kind of what I do. I go like to Netflix, to Amazon Prime, and then down to the other tiers. How about you?
Yeah, I do the same thing. I'm trying to catch up on, because we've been talking a lot about what has been the inspiration for some things in Star Wars or specific episodes of The Mandalorian, right? So like the Seven Samurai, which was then the inspiration for the Magnificent Seven, which was then the inspiration for that Mandalorian episode. So it's like, I need to go back and, like, I've never seen the original Seven Samurai. I've never seen some of those Kurosawa movies, and I was like, I want to go do that. So I started searching for those, and I think they're available to rent or buy on Amazon Prime. And then I know I've seen Steve McQueen's The Great Escape, which is an amazing movie, but it's been so long that I don't know that I only remember bits and pieces of it.
Sure.
And so that's one of the great movies of all time. So I want to go back and watch it. So I'm trying to find those movies, and a lot of them are on Amazon to rent or buy.
Right. Yeah. So I like Amazon. Then you got Disney Plus came out, and we said it when it first came out. We were all really looking forward to it, but we were looking at the overall lineup that they were discussing, not what was coming out with the launch. Right. So when it launched, we got Mandalorian and you got Hamilton, right? And then that was about it for a long time. Like it was starting to die off, and we commented on that. Like they needed a few of these other things that they were talking about to be there. Like,
they launched with like the Disney line, the sort of traditional Disney movies. And you're like, is this going to be enough? Great. And then Mandalorian, and then they got Hamilton over the summer.
Right. Yeah. So the old school movies are great, but it's not for launching a streaming service that's going to compete with Netflix,
right,
and Amazon. You're not going to do it, and we said that then too. And like now they're in year 2.5, 3. They're dropping a lot of shit on there. That's like you had WandaVision, and now you got tomorrow's going to be Falcon Winter Soldier, so now you're getting into the spot where, okay, now you guys are making traction.
And they far out surpassed their goals in terms of subscribers. Like they're at a place they didn't think they were going to be for another 3 or 4 years.
Yeah. So I'm happy for them. I'm glad that they're actually starting to like build up.
And for the company and for all the people that are employed at Disney, like it's the only part of Disney that's making money, right? Because all the parks were shut down in the pandemic.
Yeah.
So March of last year, Walt Disney World here in Florida, California, Shanghai, like all the Disney's closed. Florida was able to open by, I don't know, I think they were open by May or June. Disneyland opens next month. So they've been closed for literally a year. So if not for Disney Plus, I feel like the company wouldn't be making money.
Right. Yeah, I agree. There's nothing coming into them. So thank God for Disney Plus in that regard. Like the other ones, the other streamings like Apple. Like I said, I mess around with it. I've got to find a couple of news channels so that I can use it more.
Yeah.
But again, it goes to like what you said about Netflix, where I tend to have so many options that I just go back to what I'm used to. I don't really sit and explore with some of the stuff I do have. I've got plenty in there that I'm like, I've found like little streaming services too, like Tubi, Tubi.
Yeah.
I've used that before, and I found like random shit on there.
That's a good place for like those really terrible horror movies, like Evil Bong and Evil Bong 12 and Doll Man and those movies. Like that's the place for those movies.
That was the place I watched when I first found Tubi a few years back. I watched the Monster Squad for the first time in like 20 years, and I was laughing my ass off. The one about the kids, and the Universal monsters. But yeah, Tubi. I would go down the rabbit hole on that one in like horror movies and zombie movies and be like, I don't know what I'm watching, but I've had a couple of decent things on there, and then a lot of them were like I'd watch it for like a half an hour and be like, nope, I can't do it.
Sony had its own streaming service called Crackle that had a couple cool things in it, but I don't really know what happened to it.
Yeah, I remember seeing it, and then it just kind of faded away.
Apple TV feels like I don't have it, and I mostly don't have it because there's not one big thing on there. There's a show called The Morning Show. I think it's called The Morning Show. It's Jennifer Aniston. Why am I blanking on his name? From The Office.
Steve Carell?
Yeah, thank you. It's like the sort of behind the scenes on the Today Show.
I've seen the ad.
So I've seen one of those episodes. It's good, but it's not enough for me to get that service. And then they had that show with Jason Momoa. And it's something else, but like there was never like a giant flagship, like this is the sole reason to go get Apple TV.
Yeah, and that's how it was with us. We got it probably 2 years ago, and it's just been kind of there, and we jump on it once in a while and watch something. But we got it back the last time we were going to cancel cable, and we were like, oh, let's look for other options, and we Apple TV, we bought the little thing, and it's been there. Like I said, we'll jump on it once in a while. I'll find a movie or something to watch, but yeah, it's not like a go-to. I think probably when we do cancel cable, it'll be one of the mainstream ones we go to for, like I said, news and shit like that. But yeah, it's an all right one. Which one do you think is the worst? And then we can get into a few of the shows that kind of carried through the pandemic.
I think, I don't know, worst. Like, I think the ones I watched.
It's got to be Peacock.
The one I watched the least, yeah, that's a weird name. The one I watched the least is probably, and we had it for a while. We ended up getting rid of it. Was when CBS All Access had its streaming.
Yeah.
There's some cool stuff on it. There's a ton of at one point in our lives, I think most of what we watched was on CBS because they were all cop shows.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but then, what was that? Oh God, what's the name of that show? Why am I drawing a blank today? About the FBI agents that are like serial killer that track serial killers. What's the name of that show? Grief.
I don't know.
Anyway,
daughter. Well, NCIS is the Navy.
Yeah, so we watched all. There was a point in our lives where we were watching all three NCIS shows, the regular one, Los Angeles and New Orleans, and then that show where they're it used to have Mandy Patinkin on it, and now it's got the other guy, and the one guy left to go on SWAT. Anyway, they're profilers, and when Gail was pregnant with Coleman, there was some episode about somebody kidnapping kids or something. She's like, I can't watch this anymore. So we stopped watching that show. Blue Bloods. So there were like a bunch of CBS shows we were watching, and so we ended up getting the streaming service. And but it's sort of limited value. It was for us at the time, so we dropped it. I like I don't know, again, Sony has Crackle, and I don't know if it's still around, but we don't watch it much. I really like Hulu because it has stuff from NBC, it has stuff from ABC, it has stuff from Fox. That's where we watch. The Masked Singer comes on Hulu like the night after it airs on broadcast, so that's where we watch that.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say about Hulu. Something I like about that is a lot of the shows that we watch will air the next night or whatever. And the way Heather and I watch TV is always after it's aired anyway, except for things like The Mandalorian or WandaVision or whatever, Yeah. So stuff on primetime TV, that's the word, primetime. Regular TV.
I don't even know, I have no concept of what comes on what day.
Yeah, me either. I remember, The Walking Dead came back weeks ago, and I haven't caught up with it. That's how much the pandemic fucked me up.
Right.
Been recording. I've got 3 or 4 episodes or whatever it is since it's come out. Recording. I've seen articles on it that I've hurried up and gone past, so I don't ruin anything for myself. But I haven't watched it. I got to catch up with it on a weekend.
Yeah.
It's just so much shit comes out now that I'm like, I'll just catch up with it on DVR or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's why Hulu and shit like that works for me. I want.
Because it's not all that long ago that there was, appointment television was a thing not all that long ago, right? Like Wednesday nights, you knew you were watching such and such, or like Thursday, the NBC Thursday lineup. I guess that's been a while, and then it felt like everyone in the country was watching The Walking Dead Sunday nights.
Right.
Right. or everybody was watching Breaking Bad.
Right.
When it came out, you weren't waiting because you knew it was going to get spoiled for you, and you didn't want it to get
Lost, all those shows.
Yeah,
we're all going to get spoiled.
Or The Sopranos.
Right.
When that was on HBO. That was a Sunday night show. Like you were stopping what you were doing. You were watching The Sopranos.
Yeah.
You were watching Walking Dead. You were watching Breaking Bad. And now, like, you know that certain things drop. You know that WandaVision dropped on Fridays, or The Boys dropped on Fridays, or Falcon and Winter Soldier is going to drop on Friday. But you don't have to watch it at 9 p.m. on Friday. Like it just comes that you just catch it at some point on Friday.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's definitely a different world now. And for those of you that don't remember, you're talking about two guys who grew up where if you missed something, it was gone.
Yep. maybe over the summer when it was in reruns.
Yeah, reruns. And occasionally you would catch it.
If you're younger, here's the thing. Rerun is like going back and re-binging season 1. But your favorite show that came on, Tuesdays at 8, if you missed that episode, there was no way to catch it. Unless maybe over the summer they played a rerun.
And you didn't know if they were going to do them in order, because some channels did them in order and some channels just dropped whatever the fuck they felt like.
Yeah. And you had no way to know, this was season 2, episode 3 or whatever. Like there was.
Yeah. It was going to happen.
Yep.
Yeah. So overall, streaming has been the way to go.
Speaking of I guess this is a bit of a tangent, but there was one of those, it was either Facebook or Twitter, I can't remember what it was. And it was one of those like, tell me how old you are, but without saying the number.
Right.
And so my reply was, when I was a kid, at the end of the night, TV actually stopped.
Yes. Yeah.
And people were like, wait, what?
Yep.
Yeah. If you are of a certain age, you remember that after, I don't know, it was like after Johnny Carson or something, but like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, they played the national anthem.
Yep.
There was a flag waving on the screen and then a jet flyover, and that was it. It said, this is the end of our broadcast day. And it went to like that rainbow thing.
Yeah.
And then it was it. There was no more TV until the morning.
That was it. Yeah.
That was it.
And then you started to get a few channels started to broadcast like public access shit.
Yeah.
And you started to see really weird shit.
Yeah. Right.
And then that was kind of like
live in a big enough town to have public access. Like I never lived in that big of a city.
Right. Like when I grew up in Staten Island, so there were just shows that popped up that you were like, I don't know what the hell this is.
Yeah.
But then that was kind of like the pre-cable dawn, and then cable came around, and everybody was buying cable, and like people would come and sell you cable at your door. And
that first box, our first cable box had a row of buttons and then a switch, right? So you could make it like row 1, row 2, and row 3, because it didn't even have 3 rows of buttons. It had 1 row, and then you push the button, and it had like a long wire.
Yeah, I remember ours was old school too. There's a whole bunch of different buttons on there that you had to press for shit. It kind of worked with your TV remote, but not really. Then we had like satellite. Satellite was completely different too. That was like.
Oh yeah, we never had that.
Yeah, my father was a detective in Brooklyn, and I've told this story where the satellite that we got was one of the first satellites to come out in the 80s, and this thing was monstrous. It was like the size of the bed of my truck, at least, right? And it sat up on the roof, and as kids, we would like, you had a huge guide of like, and it would tell you what would come on like every week, right? But for each channel, you had a guide that would tell you what buttons to press to get the channel in. Oh, wow. And there was buttons for northwest, southwest, southeast, and northeast. And you press that and then a series of numbers, and it would bring in like a set of channels that you can then use the remote on, right?
Oh, wow.
But when you would press it, your satellite dish would literally turn on the roof.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy.
When we were like, I don't know, maybe a little older than Noah. So my brother and I, and my friends, we'd all we'd press the buttons and then all run out into the street to look up on the roof and watch this fucking dish turn.
That's crazy.
Because it was picking up a signal from a different part of the country. So yeah, and that's how you did it. So I was, as a kid, I was watching shit from like California and this and that, whatever. So I could watch all kinds of shit at my house. But yeah, it was a very interesting time to grow up in. It was weird.
That's cool.
So yeah, so now we get to today where we're just streaming whatever the fuck you want, and kids nowadays don't understand like what it was like when we were kids, you know.
No, we'll be somewhere. It's happened a couple times. We'll go on vacation and we're in a hotel or something that has regular cable, and one of the kids will get up to go to the bathroom and they'll go, "Dad, pause it." I'm like, "I can't."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Why?" "Because it's live." "Huh?"
Yeah.
"Pause it. I have to go to the bathroom. Pause it." "No, I can't."
Yeah, this is life. I can't pause life. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it happens to Noah once in a while, especially like he's got his tablet and he'll watch stuff on YouTube or whatever, and then he'll watch the TV and he'll be like, well, like you said, pause it. No, can't. But luckily, like our cable, you can pause, and but yeah, when you get out into hotels and shit, you can't always do that.
Yep.
So you got to rough it. So so I think, like, I'd agree with you. I think one of the worst ones for me was probably the CBS All Access, because, like I said, I watched The Stand on it, and that was it. I haven't turned on Peacock yet, even though I've downloaded it. I haven't even bothered to turn it on yet. Right. I got a feeling that one's probably going to change its name here pretty soon. Just things I've been hearing in the news about, like, who they're combining with or whatever. I think it's going to get changed. Yeah. But then, and there's also the CBS became Paramount. Some of the shit they've announced might get me to watch it a little bit more, but right now that's like the lowest one on my priority list. Yeah. So, but all right, yeah. So let's roll through a few of the pandemic shows real quick since we're talking about it, and then we can get into what's coming up. Like you said, Tiger King, fucking Joe Exotic.
It was like, I don't know, maybe it just felt this way because we were all stuck, but it was everywhere. Like, everyone was talking about it. Everyone was, commenting and posting stuff and all the memes and whatever. Like, it felt super popular.
Yeah, it was, at least here, what America needed. Mm-hmm. Like, at that time, like, once we, because that was right when we got into, okay, hey, everybody remember when they said it was going to be a 2-week lockdown?
Right. It was a month into the 2-week lockdown.
Yeah. Just when we were all getting aggravated with this supposed lockdown, Tiger King comes in all its glory, and everybody felt a little bit better about themselves. Or a whole lot better than, I mean, it had everything. It had meth. It had straight gay tiger wrangler people that were, it was amazing.
It had maulings. It didn't have a lot of teeth, but it didn't,
Yeah. And it had fucking Carol Baskins. There you go. In case you missed that in the last 6-7 months, there she is again.
That's funny.
Yeah, that thing was amazing. But like you said, we had the Mandalorian that started. That's one of our biggest ones. We love that. We just reviewed the last season not too long ago. So Disney Plus started a little slow, but it had some shit for us then. Yeah. I want to say just really trying to like binge watch whatever I could. Now, for me, like, I never stopped working. I know like a lot of you guys worked from home. You and Eric both, right? Mm-hmm. And working from home, where I never stopped going to work because I had to physically move parts. So for me, my life really never changed. So I would just go to work, come home, and watch. But like Heather, she was home with Noah. She would homeschool him or whatever. And then when she would be working, she's the queen of like streaming everything. Right. She's got a TV up in her craft room, and as she's working on all her cups and this and that, whatever, she would just find a show to play in the background. And then what would happen is she'd come across a show that this cannot be background because I need to pay attention to this, and it's sucking me in. So she would just put that one to the side, and then she would watch that, in her free time when she was She had more time to focus.
Right.
But yeah, she's streamed so much shit where I'm like playing catch up on like half the shit I want to watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I did a lot through like the pandemic, especially like not being able to go out and go places. I would just find movies that I hadn't seen before, and or something I wanted to watch again, and just kind of do that kind of shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, so hopefully now all that's about to change.
So, have you been to a theater since everything sort of opened back up?
No,
I haven't either.
No, and I want to go. I do. I'm debating on one of the ones we're talking about here, Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah.
But because the last Godzilla movie, I took Noah to go see in the theater, and that was also his first 3D movie, and he loved that. He loved that movie. So I think he might want to go see that in the theater, and I won't be opposed to that because it's coming out on my birthday. I don't know if I'm going to be able to wait, though, because I might want to sit here and watch it. It'll be on HBO Max. So that being said, since we haven't been to the theaters yet, might as well get into what's coming up.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll see if 2021 is looking any better than 2020 did. If I can get my mouse to work. There we go. All right. So we checked out a couple of trailers, and I'll try to drop like all these links into the comments on our podcast, or at least in YouTube. I'll put them in the YouTube comments. But the first one that actually dropped today as we're recording was Zack Snyder's Justice League. We've been talking about this for a while. And in fact, Heather and Noah are in there watching it right now. So that's, to give you a little background there, we are recording on Thursday, the 18th of March. And they've been talking about Zack Snyder's Justice League here for a while now. This thing was a rumor. It was a rumor for a long time after the... So basically what happened was there's a lot of background shit in this where he left production. They said it was because his daughter had committed suicide, but there were a lot of grumblings also that maybe they were having creative differences and what have you with him and Warner Brothers. But they just kind of, he's got to leave for personal reasons. And they brought in, what's his face?
Joss Whedon.
Joss Whedon. And he finished it up and then dropped it. And that wasn't a great movie.
It was not good.
It was not good.
It was not good.
It wasn't the worst thing I've watched, but that's only because by design I've made us watch really horrible movies.
It's because it's Birdemic.
Yeah. But you have to compare it to like Birdemic and The Room. So it wasn't, you're tearing me apart, Lisa.
Right.
But it was close.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark. Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Batman. It's with all of the talent they had, with all of those characters and their histories, and how I think those characters are more iconic than the Marvel characters before, right? The Marvel universe made them sort of more famous.
Yeah, easily. We've said that years ago when we complained about Warner Brothers. Why can they not get DC right? I said, where you've got Marvel just they have Kevin Feige, who oversees everything, and he's hit it on all cylinders, right? Where now America all knows who Iron Man and all these guys are, right? But I'm like, my parents all know who Superman is. Right. And Batman, like they know those characters. They didn't know Iron Man. I mean, they probably saw a picture of him because I read comics, but they don't know who the fuck he is or what, his background. They couldn't name 3 of the X-Men.
Right.
But
and so that movie was a disappointment, both I think critic-wise and box office. Like it didn't make nearly what it was supposed to make. Mm-hmm. And so Zack Snyder kept saying, I want to make my cut. And then there was this sort of groundswell internet, hashtag Snyder Cut, make the Snyder Cut, that sort of thing.
Release the Snyder Cut, yeah.
Yeah, which you can manipulate that sort of stuff. So I don't know how much he had to do with any of that, but it got to the point where they let him do it. And now it's like I don't know, it's like a 4-part, 1 hour each saga.
They dropped the whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
They dropped the whole thing.
But it's meant to be, I think I've read that it's meant to be watched like, I guess it happens in, it's not exactly acts like a play, but I guess you can watch it all together or you can break it up.
Yeah, and I think you're right there. Where I initially understood it, they were going to drop it like week by week, and then they just dropped the whole damn thing.
Yeah,
and people have watched it, and the reviews are mixed. And it's something I said earlier to quite a few people, and it makes me laugh every time I think about it. Is the reviews that I've read, either they make this thing sound like the second coming of Christ, or it's the second coming of Whedon's Justice League.
Right. And here's my question: the thing I can't get from the trailer is this movie a standalone movie? So you don't have to have seen the first Justice League to understand this movie, or does this deepen the experience you had from the first one and assumes that you've seen it? Or are we starting from where, Batman versus Superman left off the way the original Justice League movie does?
Right. And obviously neither one of us has seen it. I'm going to try to watch it this weekend. Yeah, but my understanding of it is, and this is also 50% speculation, 50% what I've heard online, but a few weeks ago when we talked about it, I said, I don't know what people are really expecting out of this, because he had shot a lot of that movie. And then they brought, or at least that's what they explained, was Whedon came in and cleaned it up and filmed some stuff, and then they released it. So I was expecting basically the same movie, but with whatever they had cut from Snyder's cut. Yeah. And that's what I'm hearing is it is the same movie, but with the shit that they cut out from Snyder.
Except that he reshot a bunch of stuff, so there's new footage in there.
There's that too. He came back because when they first announced this too, was they were adding some of the effects and they were releasing it, and then they started like reshooting shit. So that's where I'm 50% speculation, where I don't know what the fuck this thing is.
Yeah. But
I do know that some of the scenes that you saw in the trailer are directly out of what you've already seen. And then you do have shots of like Darkseid and shit like that you didn't see before.
Right.
So, even there's a shot of Superman in the black suit, and everybody thought that was coming in the first one, and we never got it. So, so there's that. And we've already beaten up the Whedon version enough, so we don't have to do it here again. But this one, like I said, the reviews are 50-50. Either people are really loving it and saying it's the best thing since sliced bread, or they're just like, it's too long and it's the same movie with some other shit. Yeah. I don't know what to expect, so I'm going to watch it with an open mind. But yeah, I can already tell you, like I said, Heather and Noah are watching it, and the two of them are kind of like they don't know what to think, So. And I kind of expected that out of them, because it's the same movie but different. So yeah. I think I think they're going into it, like you said, with the mindset of, well, I've already seen Justice League, so where does this fit in? And because Heather asked me that right before we started recording, she was like, "This, this Zack Snyder thing, what is it?" And she's like, "This is the same movie," and I said, "Yeah, no."
Hard to say.
Yeah, I don't know. So, they forgot to send me the email to set up the fucking meeting. She keeps asking me all these questions. I'm like, I don't fucking know. I wasn't there. But yeah, so I'm thinking they're not digging on it too much. I don't know if they're definitely not gonna make the whole 4 hours tonight. But I don't know if they're even gonna bother finishing it. But We'll see. I'll watch the whole thing just to see, and then we can do our review.
Yeah, there you go.
Once we know Eric's watched it, and he's not in the middle of West Bumblefuck. All right. You got anything more on Justice League?
Nope.
Yeah, me either. All right. So that dropped today. Tomorrow, even though I didn't drop a trailer in here, would be Falcon and Winter Soldier. And I am looking forward
to it. Cannot wait for this. This is going to be a good show.
All right. Keep talking about it. I'm going to grab beer.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to this. I think the trailers are great. It's an interesting conversation about who becomes who takes up Cap's shield and becomes Cap, right? The more powerful Winter Soldier or the one with more heart, Falcon. So I'm interested to see how they play that out.
Yeah, it's definitely a story about legacy.
Yeah. I don't know if they're going to do, I've not read anything about, cameos or any of that stuff. Don't know if they're going to get Chris Evans.
I just saw something.
Flashbacks or something
from, sorry, I'm talking over you.
No.
I just saw an article, but I didn't read the whole thing. But basically, Marvel came out today and said that Chris Evans will not be coming back as Captain America. I don't
Ever?
know.
In the MCU?
That's all they said was he's not coming back. So I don't know if they had a falling out or what just happened. Because the rumor was, we were just talking about it last week. I was telling you guys, hey, heavy rumor is he's coming back. Well, now the rumor, the article said nope. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. I'd love to see him back because, I mean, to me, he is Captain America. I mean, he played that role perfectly. So, but
I mean, you could have one of them sort of be the next Captain America, call him something else. But yeah, there's one Cap. And I'm going to try to temper my expectations a little because having been through the WandaVision finale as we did and talked about what we thought that was going to be, it turned out to be a nice story, but was not the link between this phase and the next phase of the MCU. And we had built that up, and I certainly built it up in my head to be a whole bunch of stuff, and you end up missing it for what it is. And so I'm going to try not to do that with this. Like I'm going to try not to do, this is going to be the link to the next set of whatevers, and just enjoy the story.
Yeah, same here. And I don't know if we talked about it last week when we discussed WandaVision, but something that I know I've been talking about that I forgot going into WandaVision because I hyped it up in my head was that what we expected out of WandaVision was never really supposed to be there because of COVID and pandemic and release schedules, where it was supposed to be Black Widow and then Falcon Winter Soldier and then WandaVision.
Right.
So it was supposed to be these things that continued on the story, and then WandaVision was going to be this nice story about her dealing with grief and loss and whatever. So what everybody was expecting, this big spectacle, I think, is supposed to be this Falcon and Winter Soldier thing. Like you, I'm going to temper that down, though, even though I know the order it was supposed to be in. So the trailer makes it look like it.
Right.
I mean, it straight up looks like a buddy cop, action-packed, bad boys kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I'm all in on that. I'm looking forward to that. Rumors abound as to who's in this, what's in this. We know Falcon Winter Soldier, Sharon Carter, and Baron Zemo are in it.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, I read a cameo from Chris Evans, which is probably not going to happen now. We read and we discussed, could this be another look at mutants and Weapon Plus, because Omega Red is supposed to be in this, supposedly. There's scenes that look like Madripoor. So who knows? And I'm just going to, like you, I'm going to go in this completely blind, or as blind as I can, and then we'll see what happens with it. But it looks good. It's going to drop tomorrow, and I'm definitely going to watch the first episode tomorrow after work.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. All right. What's next?
the 31st, March 31st, Godzilla versus Kong.
That's right.
And
my brother texted me yesterday. He was like, "Really, Godzilla and Kong on your birthday?" I'm like, "That's right."
This looks interesting. I didn't see the last Godzilla movie.
It was good.
That's Godzilla King of Monsters, right?
Yep. Yeah.
I don't think I saw that one.
It was
is
good.
that the one where?
Yeah.
I'm trying to put the Godzilla universe in its order. I think this is the third of these movies, right? Or fourth?
Well, if you count Kong, because they did
right?
Kong, so this would be number 4, because you had
Okay.
Godzilla, and I did watch that one, because that one had Bryan Cranston in it.
Yeah.
Right. And then this one had the chick from Stranger Things.
It says 11 in it, yeah.
Yeah, the last one did.
And so this trailer, like the first trailer, I don't know, laid it out. The one that you're going to drop in the comment section, because I kept wondering, like, how are we setting up this fight? Like, what are we doing here? And so it seems as if the story is Godzilla attacks. We can't do anything. We as a I don't know, world, whatever, people can't seem to do anything about it. So the people that encountered Kong are going to go get him, and they're like, well, bring Kong, and maybe this giant gorilla can kick this giant lizard's ass. And so that's what we're going to go do. And so they I don't know, drug him or something, or, you know, do the whole 18 B.A. Baracus, slip something in his drink so he falls asleep and gets on the giant ship. They cart him over to wherever Godzilla is, and they fight.
Yeah, and that's what the trailer looks like. Something I picked up from the trailer, and now we're getting into speculation to what the movie is going to be, is Godzilla is attacking, but he's attacking like specific military bases.
For some reason, yeah.
Yeah, for some reason. And again, without ruining the last movie for you, because you have to go watch that before the 31st, something happens in there which I think definitely leads into this movie regardless, but I think I know what's going on with these bases, because it's Monarch is the name of the company, and those are the bases he's attacking, is these Monarch bases or whatever. Something happens in that movie that leads to this. Now you have Godzilla attacking, the rest of the military and the people go to get Kong or whatever, because they're like, we got to fight fire with fire. I think Kong and Godzilla are going to go at it, but there is another threat. It's going to be one of those, like,
they both have moms named Martha.
Pretty much, yeah.
And then Kong's gonna be like, "Did we just become best friends?"
Godzilla's gonna be like, "Save Mothra." What?
Wait, did you say
Mothra? I saw that meme. I can't take credit for that one.
Did we just become best friends?
Yeah. Did we just become best friends? But yeah, so there's that. Something happened, and when you watch the other one, we can discuss it further, because like I said, I don't want to ruin any of that for you, and then we can talk about what I think the threat is after you've watched it. But something that is in the trailer that I want to talk about is, so, you know, obviously, you know, Kong is a giant ape. He's a little more, I guess, human-like, or he's got a little more intellect than Godzilla, who's smart, but he's a thing of nature.
Yeah.
Where Kong, even though he is this beast of nature or one of these giant guardians, he's aware. He uses tools. You see that one shot where I thought they should have been playing, what the fuck is the name of the Traveler song? When he's jumping through the sky with his axe. He's got an axe, right? And I think I said this in another episode, but I told my brother, if you go back and you watch that scene again, and you look at his axe, Godzilla shoots his atomic fire at it, and Kong blocks the beam with the axe blade. The axe blade starts to glow, right? It's not just heating up. The blade itself is one of Godzilla's plates. It's absorbing the energy.
Right.
So he made this thing to fight God. Now, I don't know if it was like because in the Kong movie with Samuel L. Jackson, Kong was still a baby. They say that in there. He's an infant. He's still growing, which is why he's able to fight Godzilla in this, because it's so many years later and he's grown.
Yeah.
But it looks like they're setting up where both species have kind of been at odds with each other through millennia or whatever. So I'm thinking, like, if Kong didn't build this axe, probably like his great grandpappy, like the fuck out of like Godzilla's uncle,
right,
built it, and it's just something that he's inherited. But yeah, but it's one of Godzilla's plates, or a Godzilla, it's his plate in that axe. And I was like, that's a really like an attention to detail touch that's like I'm really looking forward to this movie. Because at first I was just like, fucking Kong jumping through the sky, blocking atomic fire, and then I actually watched it again and I was like, oh shit.
That's pretty cool. I have to watch that again.
Yeah, go back and watch it again. It's amazing. So all right, so then after that, we get into Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
I cannot wait for this movie.
That's gonna be cool.
On April 16th, we get Mortal Kombat. You go back to the late 90s it was the late 90s when that first one dropped, right?
Sure.
Late 90s, almost early 2000s. It was somewhere in that time frame.
And they've done, I don't know, 4 or 5 since. Some of them straight to DVD, probably.
Well, they definitely did 2, and then they did there was a web series too that they tried to do, and I think that kind of led toward this.
Yeah, but I feel like there's been
Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Yeah, I feel like there's been 1 or 2 others, and then there's been animated stuff. And this looks great. And I don't know, I read somewhere that the first, 10 or 12 minutes of this movie are, the headline was, the first 13 minutes of this movie are perfect.
Like, that's what I heard too. Apparently, there was an article that just dropped before we started recording that said something about the first 13 minutes, and people are just blown away by it.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's going to open with it, but I know early on in the movie they do set up that whole. They show you the backstory behind Scorpion and Sub-Zero, why they're and they even kind of touch on it a little bit in the trailer too. But they show you that in the movie. They give you the whole thing of why they're against each other and what's going on or whatever. And I like how they kind of bring in the other characters where, Sonya Blade and Jax were looking into murders or whatever, and it's Sub-Zero's behind them or whatever. And just like everything in the trailer looked completely sick. Yeah. It looked really cool, and they are not shying away from anything you would expect out of this movie. Where the 90s, it was cool, and that theme song is stuck in your head, that old techno beat. But and if they don't have that as somebody's ringtone, I'm gonna be mad.
It's funny, we've talked about how usually bad video game movies are, movies based on video games. I just hope they overcome that in this. It seems like they might.
This looks like it's going to be the one. As far as live action, I know we talked about it before, and like the first one, like I said, I don't take anything away from the first one because of when it was made. It was a fun movie. The second one, Annihilation, went off the rails, and they tried to cram everything from the game in there as much as they could. Yeah. But the first one was solid for what it was. But it was of that time of, video game movies are just not great. Then you got into more recently we had Sonic, where it was based on a video game, and it actually turned out to be a really good movie. We all enjoyed it, which was funny for how we started out with that. We were like, this is going to be atrocious.
Yeah. And
it turned out to be probably one of the best video game movies I had seen. Yeah. Detective Pikachu turned out to be one of the best video game type of movies I've seen.
Yeah.
This looks like, as far as not like an offshoot of Sonic is in this world or whatever, Mortal Kombat, while maybe the story is not just, dropped into a fighting game because of a tournament to rule the universe, done. they're going to give you more of a backstory, of course. But I guess the closest to True North for a video game to movie adaptation, this looks like it might be the one that breaks the stereotype of bad video game movies, and I hope it does. I'm rooting for it. It looks amazing. I can't wait.
A little bit off topic, but speaking of, we just watched. Have you watched the new Tom and Jerry movie?
Yeah. Yes. Speaking of adaptations,
man, that movie sucks.
It was definitely in that same mold of
yes.
the Smurfs and whatever. Where
that's why I mention it is it's they were trying to cram the Tom and Jerry story, which is funny for, what is a Tom and Jerry cartoon back in the day? 6 minutes, 7 minutes, right? They run around, they bash each other over the head. Jerry usually bashes Tom and comes out on top. Like those were funny. 2 hours of that, or hour and 40 minutes, it was long, and I was like, ugh.
It was, and
the kids laughed a couple times, but I was like, ugh.
Like Noah liked it, but it was kind of like right in his wheelhouse. He liked it. He was like, yeah, it's funny. I did appreciate the fact that every animal in there was a cartoon, and it wasn't just Tom and Jerry and like Spike, but it was every animal. That was a nice touch. I was like, all right, you
soundtrack was good.
Yeah, the soundtrack was good. Like I've said before, when we discuss any of these movies, you have to give me a certain parameter of disbelief and let me know what it is in the beginning. And they did that with the cartoon animals. Like, okay, all the animals are cartoons. Okay, now I know where we're at. And then they went from there. That part I appreciated. Some of the, like you said, the soundtrack was good. And then like the little sounds that made me flash back to my childhood, like when Tom would scream. Like they would throw in the actual like sounds from the cartoon here and there throughout the cartoon. I think what's her name, Chloe Moretz. She did everything she could with that. She was fine in it. But overall, I think Brian next door, he described it the best because he watched it with his kids, and he was like, it seemed like just like the Smurfs. They took a story and then stuck Tom and Jerry in it.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. And this is, so, yeah.
I don't know how else you do it because there's really not a plot to a Tom and Jerry cartoon. So you have to build the story and then throw these two in it and see how it plays out.
Yeah, because when we were kids in the 80s, Tom and Jerry and all these shows like that, the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote, Bugs Bunny, and Yosemite Sam, everything that the SJWs don't want to be around anymore. All the shit from our youth, it was just like quick little, maybe tops 10 minutes of antagonist, protagonist going at each other, but it was the same thing. So over and over again, it was basically the same concept. Tom tries to catch Jerry. Jerry does some shit to get out of it and whatever. Same shit with all the other ones. Yeah. So to make that a whole movie,
Bugs Bunny's actually had a plot, right? There was still Bugs versus somebody, but at least there was a different setup every time
because they can talk.
Yeah,
they can talk. So I think what a lot of the Hollywood guys now that, while nostalgia's fun, and there are a lot of things that pop up that you're like, oh, they're remaking this, and I'd say it's like, I don't know, maybe 60-40 where I enjoy it. I think what the nostalgia guys do with these properties is they basically just go like they fall back on the Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Stick a cartoon in a real world scenario and go. And so that's all the thought they give it. Pick a real world scenario, make a story, and then throw the cartoon characters in it. So it wasn't that great, but whatever. I got a couple of laughs out of it, and I guess that's about all I was expecting out of it. So yeah, all right. So where are we at? This is the Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat. Quiet Place 2.
Quiet Place 2. Ironically, to this day, I've still not seen the first one.
I haven't either.
and I really need to because it's good and it's got John Krasinski and what's her face, his wife.
Yeah.
On a blank on her. But I like both of them in other movies, and I keep saying I need to watch this movie, but it's one of those ones that keeps falling to the back of my radar, and I keep getting further and further away from it. So when I was going through everything that was coming up, I was like, oh shit, I need to go watch the first one again, or I have to remind myself to watch the first one. So because it looks like a good concept.
Yeah, I agree.
Monsters that go by sound, and you got to shut the fuck up. Most of America be dead.
Right.
If they were attracted to keyboards, you'd be fucked. So then I went off of our calendar. So is Black Widow still going May 7th? I can't remember. Moved.
I think so. Let me check real quick.
According to our calendar, it was, and I couldn't remember if Eric tried to move it or not.
Yeah, still May 7th.
Okay. Well, this is supposed to be out like a fucking year ago.
Yeah, I still haven't seen a new trailer for that yet.
No, and I'm shocked. I think they kind of, you know why? I bet because they dropped what, 2 trailers, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think they pretty much blew their load for the pandemic, or like getting into the pandemic, thinking we're gonna drop this movie, and then it kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed. So I bet here, like another couple of weeks, you're gonna start to see the same trailers again, because I don't think they can drop anything else without giving anything away. You know, you had a good 2 trailers that show you her going back to Russia for whatever reason, getting together with what's his name, Crimson Dynamo, or no, not Crimson Dynamo. What the fuck's his name from Stranger Things?
David. He's not Omega. Yeah, he's playing Omega Red.
No, Omega Red's the mutant.
No, yeah, I'm sorry. He's playing Rocket Red? No, that's a DC character.
It's their version of Captain America. And I keep saying Crimson Dynamo, but that's their version of Iron Man. Whatever. Whoever the fuck he's playing. He's playing their guy, and I'm drawing a blank on him.
Me too.
But
Red Guardian.
Red Guardian, there you go. I knew Red was in it. Thank you. Dave Barnes, how do you fucking say his name? The actor from the cop from Hopper from Stranger Things.
David Harbour.
David Harbour, thanks. What was it, David Barnes? So it's like the dude from fucking Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I'm having a moment. Yeah, you think you were bad earlier. Now's my turn. So, welcome to Alzheimer's If Geeks.
Right. Welcome to the 2 old men talk about old shit.
Hey, it's right in our through line there on our icon. Middle-aged dads talking nerdy. So there you go. You get what you get. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this movie.
Yeah.
It looks good. She's going back to Russia to deal with whatever the fuck she's dealing with. The biggest debate that I've got, and we talked about it briefly before, was, are you going to get something that shows her coming back to life? And I'm kind of, at this point, I'm like 50-50 on it.
Yeah.
I think she's too big a star, and she's established herself too well in this universe as the Black Widow to waste. I mean, now granted, like her death meant something and whatever, yeah. But you do have an option there to bring her back with the returning of all the stones and whatever. You can manipulate something to bring her back.
But the way I see the next phase going, I don't see a space for her in these movies. Like
outside of somebody to kind of guide them, you know, because you got a lot of new heroes. That was my thing. If you bring somebody from the old guard in, but again, like to your point, if MCU is just looking to move ahead with all the new characters, and you have a lot of new characters coming too, not just what we've got already. You've got newer characters coming in too, right behind them. So, So yeah, you might be right. There might not be any room for her, but I don't know. I think it's like a 50-50 shot. There's a reason they're making this movie now, and it could be to eventually bring her back, but who knows, whatever. Or maybe to establish something that happens in this movie that means something for somebody later. Whatever. We'll figure it out. But yeah, looking forward to that one. Then you got on the 21st, we've got two different things dropping. One, I'll briefly talk about just because again we'll go back to like your movies based on video games, but this isn't even really based on a video game. It's just based on like a concept.
Yeah.
Free Guy with Ryan Reynolds. So basically, he's just an NPC in a video game, and he realizes he's in a video game, and he just doesn't want to do that anymore. Mm-hmm. And the one trailer I've seen anyway, looks fucking awesome.
Yeah, I agree. And it's a cool concept, right? And so there's a lot you can do with the genre of video games when you're not trying to plug in, right, all the things that when you're locked into one game, you've got to get all the characters and hammer in their backstories, and it doesn't matter if it works or not. You just got to get it all in there. Yeah. With just the whole genre of video games, there's a ton of stuff you can do, and so I think it lends itself to being more creative. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, because here he looks like he may be a character in like a Grand Theft Auto type of game.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll see if they expand out of that. But they kind of stick with that one little genre right now. But like you said, you can go anywhere. Like you can drop him into multiple games, and it would actually be like if he somehow manages to figure out how to get into other genres.
Call of Duty game or a sports game or something.
Yeah. You can make multiple movies about this guy where it's just like creating havoc everywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, it looks like it's gonna be fun. The other thing dropping, and again, is this Disney Plus? I forgot to write it down.
No, it's on Hulu.
Hulu. Oh, there. No, I didn't forget. It's right there. Duh. I was looking at the top. You're getting MODOK.
Yeah.
An animated series. It looks like
it looks like Robot Chicken.
Yeah. Patton Oswalt is doing the voice of MODOK.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got to have some of these Robot Chicken guys coming in because the trailer just flows like a Robot Chicken episode.
Yeah.
It's very much like it. But it looks funny.
Yeah, it really does. He was going to one of the scenes where he was going to shoot one of the sort of henchman guys. He's like, I still have to do your taxes. So he turns and shoots someone else and blows one of his arms off. He's like, I'm sorry. I thought this coffee was for everybody. Right. Cause he was being punished for it.
Right.
When it blows his arm off. Yeah. It looks really good. And
it does. And I like Patton Oswalt. So
I do too.
Yeah. So I think this is going to be good. I don't have much else to say about it just because the trailer kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like somebody told me about it. I was like, oh shit. And I ran out and watched it. And I was like, what the fuck are we watching? But yeah, like I said, Robot Chicken. I love that show. Apparently they're still making it. I didn't even realize they were still making it. But like, at least they were last year. Because I went to go look to see if I missed any episodes. And when I Googled it, it had like release dates of 2020. And I was like, I'm missing all these episodes. So like I've been like going back and trying to find a spot to watch them outside of like Adult Swim or whatever because I can't catch what I want to catch. So I'm still looking. I'm assuming you probably find it like on Hulu or something. So I'll find it. I'll just like start at the beginning and work my way all the way through it. Because Robot Chicken is like right up there for me with like Family Guy. Like I love that humor. It's amazing. And I guess like the last two things we got on here, I'll save that middle one even though we're going to jump. But on June 25th, we've got Venom, There Will Be Carnage. All right, so we discussed Venom with Tom Hardy. We reviewed it. When they first announced it, we had the questions of how the hell do you do this without Spider-Man, yada, yada, whatever. Then the movie came out, and I think overall we enjoyed it. Like I liked it for what they did with it. I liked it. I like Tom Hardy. I mean, he does everything he can with every role. So I enjoyed him in the role. Uh, the little stinger at the end, spoiler alert, with Woody Harrelson as Cletus Cassidy, and then so now, and they have not dropped a trailer for this yet, right?
No.
I have not seen one, but they're all talking about it. Yep, Woody Harrelson is Cletus Cassidy, and they are making Venom 2, right? And so it's going to be him versus Carnage. Still don't know if this is going to be any kind of Spider-Man reference or what, but I would kind of hope so. It's because if Sony's still trying to like tie anything into the Spider-Man universe, it'd be about fucking time to do it.
Yeah.
Because it seems more and more like Spider-Man is just like further and further enmeshed in the MCU, and I still hold out not just hope but firm belief that Disney's just going to drop some money and just take them. So you're like, no, all right, we're done. We're just here. Just give them to us. We'll take some of that Disney Plus money that they didn't know they were going to get.
Exactly.
Like, no, we're taking them now. So all this shit's going to roll over into the MCU eventually. But I'm looking forward to this one, even though I haven't seen a trailer. I think it's going to be good, just based on what we watched in the first one.
Yeah.
I think it's at least going to be enjoyable. And then the last one that I've been waiting for ages and ages and ages, especially after they pissed me off and made an all-female one. No offense to the women, but we've always said, or I've at least always said, if you just like take a movie that is established and just swap out genders or race, that's not telling a good story. You're doing a disservice to everything.
I've never seen it. Like, I still haven't seen it.
We watched it, and while there were some funny moments in it, it was horrendous. So we're talking about June 11th, we're getting Ghostbusters Afterlife. And so obviously I'm referring to the all-female Ghostbusters that came out a couple years ago that sucked. Like I said, there were a couple funny moments, but overall it just sucked. Just because all they did was literally took the Ghostbusters name and threw a bunch of women into it and told a story. But it was just like, I guess the best way to say it was just like they tried to throw in as many silly jokes as they could, and when basically we'll throw all the shit to the wall and see what sticks, kind of thing. And the best part out of that whole movie was Chris Hemsworth.
Right.
He's in it as the secretary to Annie Potts' Janine, right? He plays that character, and he's amazing in it. Fucking hilarious. But outside of that, the movie's just horrible.
Yeah, I didn't.
So then immediately after that, go ahead.
I remember when it came out, I was like, and I never got to see it, and it's never been on something where I was like, oh, I've got 2 hours, let me watch this.
Yeah, no. So we watched it because I think no one wanted to watch it, and I was like, I should watch it just to punish myself, and and mostly because we do this show, and so one of us should be able to talk about it. So I watched it, and it wasn't good. And it was almost like immediately after this, they announced this one. Now you've got Ghostbusters Afterlife, and I want to say it was a little more than a year ago. It was right before the pandemic when that first little teaser dropped, right?
Yeah.
I remember. I don't know if I found it first and I shared it with you guys.
I think so.
But to me, from the teaser on, the marketing that they've done for this has been epic. One, it was like, okay, forget everything you watched. That doesn't matter. Dan Aykroyd has been pushing to get this thing made for a long time, right? That first tease where they just dropped it on YouTube online, and nobody knew what the hell it was because it was just a field at night, and you see a barn in the distance, and there's like a storm and lightning, and there's light flashing in this barn, and the camera starts to pan up real like low to the ground to the barn, and you get this like little eerie music, and it takes a few seconds until you actually get into the barn to realize that they're actually using music from the first Ghostbusters, like one of the opening, like the library theme or whatever, right? So one of those themes, they're actually using that. And as that camera goes in, you just see a tarp, and you see flashing in the side, and then because of the whatever is going on in this corner that you can't see, the tarp starts to billow out from the breeze, and it billows out just enough to see the back of the hearse and the Ecto One license plate.
License plate, yeah.
And it kind of kicks a little bit into the theme song, and then just cuts to black with like I think it had a date then of like spring of whatever, whatever the fuck it said. I think it was still like early this year, but they only pushed it once. I don't know, but it had that like the quick little glimpse of Ecto One, and that's all you needed for fanboys to lose their shit.
Yeah,
that they're actually gonna something was happening with Ghostbusters again, and then they dropped the trailer during the pandemic, and we could talk about that now. I mean, you watched the trailer, right? Mm-hmm. So, do you remember it at all?
A little bit. I remember that there's. I mean, it's got Finn from Stranger Things.
Yep.
And I can't remember who's the other lead right this second. But it's essentially kind of the next generation of ghostbusting.
Yeah. What's his face? Ant-Man is in it.
Yeah, Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd. He's in it. Yeah. He's the teacher. And yeah, so the whole trailer is basically they set up, if we're going to go through it briefly, is these kids and their mom inherit a house and they move out into the middle of nowhere. And that's, I guess, where that barn we see is, right? Because you see that there too. They inherit this house from their grandfather. Then you get into the whole, they talk about the shit that happened in New York. And it's kind of like, okay, yes, this definitely happened, but it's way in the past and no one's given it any thought or whatever. And then they go into Finn Wolfhard and his friends are they're exploring around the property, and there's like a well, and something happens in the well, and there's a light out of the well that's like spectral or whatever. And you just start, it flashes real quick. It changes scenes where they find I think they find a ghost trap. That's what it is. They find a ghost trap and they bring it to Paul Rudd, their teacher.
Yeah.
And he's like, this thing looks just like the real thing. It's an amazing replica, whatever. And they're like, oh, okay. They have no idea what he's talking about because they really don't know the stories. But he knew because he was alive when
he was as a kid in New York. Yeah.
Yeah, as a kid in New York. So there's that whole thing. Like nobody really knows what happened in New York except for the people that were there. And otherwise, it's just like all legend. Like Han Solo said, Luke, Jedi, it was all true. That's the right. Ghostbusters now, right? And so the kids uncover like Ecto One in the barn, and they start to work on it. And he finds the jumpsuits that have Spengler on it. So I think at least Finn Wolfhard is Egon's grandkid. So I think that's what's going on. I think like the mom that you see in there is his daughter, or maybe even his daughter-in-law, or whatever. But I think it's his daughter, and they inherit the farm. So what I've heard online is that the backstory is going to be, and again, speculation, that after everything happened in New York and everything kind of died down, Egon was researching stuff, and he was finding like hot spots around the country or around the world. And this one, let's say they're in like Iowa or Kansas or whatever, he finds this one portal hotspot type of thing to the netherworld that's going to be another problem. That's why he bought that property. And he was researching it. And then years later, his grandkids wind up inheriting all his shit. And
yeah.
So yeah, like you said, it's going to be the next generation of Ghostbusters, and
Yeah, it looks cool.
It looks really cool. It's definitely, and from that point, like everyone started talking, there is no more female Ghostbusters. There's just, there is no Dana. There's only Zool. There's no more female Ghostbusters. There's Ghostbusters Afterlife. So June 11th, that's gonna be big. And that's it for now. I think that brings us to half of the year. So the next quarter at least, right?
Yeah.
And we could probably drop another Geekly Weekly here in another quarter. Maybe Eric won't be in the middle of West Bumblefuck. It'd be nice. But
so do you think you're going to see any of these movies? Like, I don't think, like, I can't see that I would go to the theater to see Godzilla versus Kong. So I'll try to catch that at some point. I don't know. I'm not sure how.
Save 4 hours. Do not watch Justice League. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you, God.
That's awesome.
There you go.
Watch Star Wars Holiday Special before you watch this.
Twice.
Oh my goodness.
Well, there you go. That's from the woman who was brave enough to marry one of the head geeks. All right. So what were you saying?
I was going to say, when do you see yourself getting back to a theater? Like, are you going to go? You said you might take Noah to go see Godzilla versus Kong in the theater.
Oh no, we have HBO Max. Microwave popcorn and a couch. We're good.
Did that come in clear?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know I don't know of a movie that's big enough that's going to get me back in the theater. Maybe Black Widow. Streaming options are better.
Yeah, they've changed the whole game around with the streaming shit. It used to be, and we've talked about this before on this podcast, that at least for our family, I had to, pick and choose what I wanted to go see in the theater. I mean, for a long time, it was because of sleep apnea, and I would just fall asleep if I was bored, or at all. Like unless I was 100% in, I was out. But then, so it became a habit of specific movies I would go to the theater, and then other ones I would wait. For us, it was any of the MCU ones, the Star Wars movies, Lucasfilm kind of stuff, one or two other big within our realm, and then maybe a few that like Noah wanted to see. I think we went to go see Sonic in the movie theaters. That might have been like the last one we went to go see. But or Detective Pikachu or something like that. Something he wanted to go see. So other than that, we don't really go to the theater. And like Heather said, we just got a new living room set, and I've got my recliner. We can just chill out. I can pause it if I have to.
Yeah.
We already know. Twice tonight, I've had my old man bladder kick in, so it happens during a movie too. I don't know. I like the movie theater experience for things like I know we're gonna wrap it up, but you opened a can of worms there. With Avengers Endgame when Cap gets Mjolnir and everyone cheers, like that kind of stuff. I do like it, but 9.8 times out of 10 nowadays, with everything especially coming to streaming, I'm gonna sit home and watch it. I will pay extra if some of these things do, like the Disney Plus will do, like they did with Milan. If Black Widow, okay, you want to see it when we first drop it, you got to pay $30. Okay, I'll do that.
Me too.
But other than that, I don't know. And it's not even remotely for me at least nowadays, especially with like vaccines and this and that, whatever. It's not a matter of being worried about going to a crowded theater. I don't care. I never, even in the beginning of the pandemic, I wasn't worried about being around people, just because I'm like, I'm gonna get it or I'm not. We've had that discussion, right? So whatever. I think I've got enough crap in my system from the Navy that's gonna kick anything anyway. So that had nothing to do with the theater. the fact they opened up this can of worms with streaming, you've got me at home 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah. So we'll see. I don't know. I think it might be Ghostbusters. It might be Ghostbusters, if that. Just depends on what I'm doing that month. But yeah, it might be something like Ghostbusters will get me out there because like Black Widow, I think is too soon. Maybe it's in May. But yeah, I think Godzilla and Kong is too soon. Plus, it's dropping on my birthday, which is the middle of the week, so I'm just gonna watch it that night. Yeah. So unless it's like definitely a Thursday night, Friday release that I really want to go watch, it's either gonna be Black Widow or Ghostbusters. But before that, I don't see anything bringing me out of my house to go watch.
That's funny.
You too?
Yeah, probably. And you know, we were careful in the lockdown and after, and then we got it, and then we were like, okay, we got it.
Yeah, you still got it. Yeah.
Right.
So it's a crapshoot.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is. But thankfully, you know, we're all relatively healthy and hopefully coming out of the other side of this thing eventually. We shall see.
Yeah, we shall
see what the world brings us next. It's only 2021. It's only March.
Right.
All right. So on that note, we'll wrap this one up for now because we both got to go. We got kids that we got to beat up. So hit us up. Let us know what you think of what's coming up on this Geekly Weekly that we discussed between the trailers that I'm going to drop and apparently don't watch Justice League. Sorry. That was a random spoiler. Let us know what you think of everything we've talked about that's coming up from now until June, and then what you want to talk about for the next quarter that's coming up, and we'll get on that in a few months. Drop us a line down here, like, subscribe, ring a bell, hit us up at whatifgeeks.com, whatifgeeks@gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're still launching Patreon. I need a little bit of help with that, people. So, but we'll get that out there. It's launched. There's nothing on it yet, so we'll get that out to you guys soon. So then maybe you can start helping support our channel. It'd be great.
There we go.
All right, that's it. So thank you very much, and good night, Tony.
Good night, Zack Snyder.
Maybe forever.
Maybe. And your 4-hour-long movie.